Welcome everyone to quick evening town hall live stream that I thought I should actually do more often. Case in point, the state, rather depressive, slow and buggy state of native apps, because the last hours I spent this weekend with Minidisk stuff. And while it's amazing that so many people still reverse engineer stuff, it reminded me that the state of apps, native apps, is of course what, unfortunately, not really of course, unfortunately these days the state of native apps, whether Discord, probably Twitch and other stuff, like basically most major things, Electron, right? If you're new to this stuff, what that means is there was a dramatic shift decade ago, like recently, the last decade, of shifting apps from native apps, native meaning x86, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, at us of course, usually Linux apps, to Electron. What that means is, of course, everything has pros and cons, right? To quickly summarize this, native apps, of course, directly programmed like Sync, Commodore C64, Amiga 500, IBM PC and stuff, right? Windows, Mac OS, Linux native apps, they are written in C, Pascal, or whatnot, similar such things with their native APIs. Create a window, do some stuff, whether SimCity 2000, DOS games, Monkey Island, or Safari, Safari, not the best, Star Division, Star Office and stuff, right? And I had said previously, the craziest stuff is the first time I used an Electron app like 10 years ago, that was some kind of, I believe, even title, right? And the craziest thing is, I had some title, like coming full circle to Minidisk, right? At that time, on a Core 2 Duo, my second phasing out MacBook, and of course you could on a 486, 586 Pentium play gapless audio without an issue, and like the title app 10 years ago, like stuttered and slowed down to crawl on a Core 2 Duo. Yes, hey, it was a decade ago, right? So the benefit is you only need to write the app kind of sort of once, although many people don't publish Linux native Electron apps. But the huge, so everything has pros and cons, right? Like the pros, it's like you write once, you kind of run everywhere except like USB, HID connectivity and stuff and so on, right? The cons, you can't just do everything. And the other con is it's mind-bogglingly, stupidly slow, right? Like basically the title of this video, we absolutely ruined, in my opinion. So this is a total, like, this was like, hey, today I actually have chat things here. Maybe I should do this more often. Welcome, everyone. And by the way, I hope like a little bit overload and things here. So zero frames, amazing. So can we save, like, what is the state? Like, basically for me, electronics are absolutely depressive, right? Like, basically, it comes down to nowadays, we resorted, I mean, not I, but other people, like we, other people than me, the developer community and big tech resorted, obviously everything cloud and Electron apps, right? For me, the cloud apps anyway, absolutely annoying usability nightmare, freakingly slow. Like if you have shitty internet, like I sometimes have, like mind-bogglingly slow and annoying, cumbersome to use. Basically everything that was snappy. So I'm, as you see, of course, as old as remembering not only the good old days on my father's 386, but otherwise like high performance Intel Pentium or AMD Athlon and hey, we have dual core and 64-bit and everything is snappily amazing, to nowadays, like even on a Steam Deck or last year's Intel CPU and stuff, like Electron and web apps annoyingly slow, right? Also for me as a developer, like I grew up developing native apps on DOS with Turbo Pascal and later Windows, Linux, and basically everything. Like I did native apps on everything. Sure, another downside, you might need to learn Objective-C or nowadays Swift for native apps on Macs. But for me, the cons vastly outweighed the few benefits. And this is depressive. Like the state of these apps is depressive. Of course, the other thing, otherwise, you have also depressive, like basically to summarize this, basically everything is depressive. I'm really sorry to bring it to you, like everything depressive. Native APIs. The problem is wherever you look, peak bugs, annoyances, Windows APIs, of course, like Win32 UI API is like super annoying. That's of course the downside, right? Doing native apps, and you have to deal with really sucking Win32 APIs. On Mac, I actually have to say, although I run a Linux distribution, the Apple Objective-C API is actually the better ones of the non-sucking. On Linux, of course, you have the wild west of Qt versus GTK, and every version is incompatible. So yeah, I see you. Yes, I've been there. I've done that. I've seen both worlds. Yes, the open source people with 4 versions of GTK and 6 versions of Qt, commercial and stuff nonetheless. Then we have Wix widgets, we have Fox Toolkit, we have or other kind things in between, Enlightenment 17, right? Like basically, yes, everything sucks. So either but this is like somehow the state of native, like that's also like somehow the whole state of computing, #peak bugs, right? Like somehow everything sucks wherever you look. Yeah. But for me also the biggest thing, to me it comes down, despite everything sucks, I would argue most developers, especially those doing Electron web native web apps, resort to writing applications in the most cursed, cumbersome, and least performing way possible. Because in a native app, I mean, also like a native app, like maybe a megabyte, like let's say, like some game or editor or mini disk interfacing stuff, right? Like maybe it's a megabyte or 2, right? Or like maybe 5 or 10 megabyte, right? But an Electron app, like 100 freaking megabyte download to just edit some text or transfer some data, right? I had here some web search open. Obviously, I'm not drawing, like probably next. Shall I subscribe? Maybe some diagram drawing for more viewer engagement. It's like I should actually check the comments. Yes, versus the problem, of course, web application, in my opinion, also not amazing, right? Do we have some nice, because you have front end. So basically, you write applications where previously, decades ago, you would do main application, start main, whatnot, open some window, draw some buttons. Now you have some trying to center a div, right? Like some HTML hypertext markup language. Like, hey, here's some text. Here's like, let's fake some button. Not like we have a button. Like let's fake some button by centering, trying to center a div, and do all this cursed web stuff. Like in my opinion, web development, like surprise. Somehow I hate everything, but maybe everything sucks. Like, basically, I want your. So this is basically the summary, right? We came there from good old-fashioned stuff. Yes, that sucks too. We came to this new stuff. I would argue, like, I don't even enjoy this, right? A native app. Who even enjoys web development, right? Like, why am I not millionaire with web development? Because I hated web development 20 years ago. Like, web development, like, remember the CGI, the fast CGI, and the Perl and PHP and Python and Ruby and all the other days in between. As like all this shitty web development. Like I'm not made for, like, I do low level stuff. Like I want dependable, trustworthy computing and not like asynchronous JavaScript stuff. So basically, this is not one, this is multiple orders of magnitudes. Like this is 1,000 or maybe even 10,000 freaking percent slower. Remember when in the news, like 10 years ago, it was in the news, this Electron editor, was it Atoms? Like, not only this title, Electron web app for listening to your music, you own nothing and you will not be happy. You'll temporary music subscription, not owning your music. And this barley could play on a Core 2 Duo, like 10 years ago, not yesterday, 10 years ago when I tried this out, it could barley play on a Core 2 Duo MacBook. And remember in the news when I remember 14 or so years ago, like basically 10 years, a decade ago, it was in the news, like people shocked. This, like, doing a code editor in Electron required like nearly 100, 60, 70, 80, whatnot, you can Google that, percent, like basically constant CPU, like just blinking the bloody cursor in like blinking a cursor in web technology, nearly sustaining one core a decade ago. Yes. Hey, nowadays, let's make fast computers so they can at least blink a text cursor with 20% load on a. You get the idea, right? Like basically, I would also argue, so sure, it is a little bit portable, but it's so freaking inefficient, right? Like a tiny little hobby application, whatever, like a recipe book, a diary, whatever, you're like a tiny Tetris game and whatnot. Instead of doing just one app, you could do that portable, like with GTK and Qt and stuff. This absolutely abomination of like monumental, oversized, YOLO together stuff. And adding to the mix, if this would not be bad enough of emulating an app, like basically we are emulating applications with the least efficient technology, HTML buttons, JavaScript code. And then worst of all, if this would not all be inefficient enough, plus downloading a native, like the only native application in your bloody browser, because spoilers, this Electron stuff is of course all bloody browser. What's not like having a Chrome for every application. And then last but not least these days, mixing WebAssembly in there is like, hey, we have a C library like lib minidisk, like libnetmd, or other like, hey, audio encoder, right? Like MP3 or Sony's reverse engineered track and stuff. And libusb and stuff, right? Like, so 2024, like, we can everything like mscripten, use LLVM mscripten, like recompiling to WebAssembly technology. If like, yeah, because stuff is complex and not wanting to rewrite it in JavaScript and stuff, and portability. So like, let's additionally inefficiently, at least WebAssembly not that efficient, but like basically, I'm absolutely shocked by the state of software, right? Basically, the question is, so that's basically the summary. We came from a quick summary, right? Like, share, like, subscribe. What do you want to see in more detail? I'm just, are we in a cycle that like a bubble of burst? Like, are other people realizing like this? We write software, like we recurrently write software in the most sucking ways, inefficient, cumbersome. Like, so given this, I had this diagram stuff here open because like this is not even writing, like it is 1,000% slower, and it's even annoying to program, right? Like I rather, if I want to access, like imagine USB data, or you have frameworks of frameworks, you have tens of megabytes of frameworks, and it only works in like Electron, and it doesn't even work in each browser, right? Like to do low level stuff, like if you wanted to do low level stuff, you need then some special Snowflake Chrome with web USB or web MIDI or web human interface device things. Everything super annoying and cursed, right? Instead of like efficiently like libusb init device and stuff, like send some bytes, like monumental amount of code. Like why is everything bloated and slow? It's like, yeah, because we use stacked frameworks, technology, abstraction things of like make everything slow and bloated again. Absolutely mind-blowing. For me, like, do you even like that? Does the benefits of having some portable Electron stuff, like, do you enjoy this? Do you like this? Do you even like, is there any developer out there who actually likes writing web code in this HTML5 and JavaScript and mscript and everything? Like, am I the idiot? Like, do other people enjoy it? So like, hey, let's don't write code, let's recompile other C library with mscripten and like glue and YOLO that together until it maybe works. Like, am I the idiot? Am I the problem? Do you all love it? Do you love emulating buttons in HTML and CSS and trying to center those and stuff? Anyway, I should check. Like, basically, that's the question. Do you even like this, or are we in some cycle of people really like because people often think everything like is linearly developed, and like there is some linear future of that it is what it is, and we continue. Like in the past, we had been this, was started with centralized mainframes, right? Remember this IBM stuff and so on, like this mainframe things with dumb terminals. Like basically, then we had personal, like remember the personal computer revolution in the 1980s? Everyone had their personal, instead of supercomputer, like this personal, like remember when we had personal computers, not only mainframe clouds. Then we transitioned with like, okay, I hear you, Windows certainly sucked and stuff. You didn't want to have personal computer DOS and Windows things, and there were no Linux native apps. Okay, there were downsides, except running everything in Wine because Win32 API. And now we have the circle back to mainframes, aka this supercomputer AI things with 10,000s of servers at Google and AI things everywhere. Like, will we come back to the next innovation? Is like, my question is, can we fix this? Like, between, do you enjoy this? Are you happy? You own nothing. You have Electron apps and like, no local native apps anymore because, yeah. Who enjoys this? Like, comment best not now. I will read some comments now. Better later in the more permanent comments below. Should we embrace this because this slow, completely cursed way of writing software is the future? And because it's the future, we use it, we adapt, and is resistance futile, or should we adapt to this stuff? Or is there something to fix this? Is there like, will people get tired? Like now in this day and age, like do people want privacy again? Do they want to have personal computing stuff at home again? And like some apps, do they want efficiency? Because the other day, shall I subscribe? I got an DEC Alpha PC donated, 533 megahertz. And of course, I'm similar to the Sun stuff, right? I'm also, of course, shocked how slow, sure, T2 Linux, like T2 is the last Linux that sufficiently worked on that. But with all this bloat is, of course, like what previously, yes, 25 years, I hear you, but also like dual Apple G5 stuff like these days slow, or like Sun. Like the problem is we write software, desktop and server so efficiently with so much bloat that yes, 25 years ago, I hear you, but also like Apple G4 Cube or other stuff of dual gigahertz things, like unusable slow these days because of software bloat. That could be faster. Like this also means like, yes, I hear you, but also like if there would not be so much bloat and stuff, modern stuff would also run, like think your triple A games would run faster if they weren't so bloated, right? Let's check the comments. Like basically that's the question. So everything could be less bloated, less faster, not necessarily for vintage and retro, but also like for higher performance stuff playing along at home. Let's quickly check what do we have. Plenty of comments. I just wanted a more summary and stuff. 5:30. Yeah. I always like preparation and stuff. There is QT. Yeah, Frank. Video kills what? Video kills a radio star. Web. This case every other time. Discord Arch. I start Discord on Arch. I need to grab the newest version because otherwise it won't start. So I only run Discord in like basically I refuse all this, and like I never run like nearly never. I absolutely refuse this Electron nonsense. I also just run like basically my way, like with Discord, I just use it in the browser and like that's like I'm not accepting this. I don't need more browser copies next to my main browser. I only need one browser. I mean, if at least, but the problem is also I would rather see web technology reinvented because like centering a diff certainly sucks, and emulating buttons. Certainly web technology constantly reinventing with WebAssembly and like a decade ago with HTML5 and Canvas and stuff and WebGL and WebGraphic and WebGPU and hey, Web USB and Web MIDI and Web HID, human interface device things. But the problem is also with this web stuff, like then I have this pressure, shall I subscribe, actually need to make, like should be more successful, should make a dedicated review video of this amazing keyboard. Magnetic Hall effect keyboard goodness here. And like this configuration thing is only working in Chromium, right? Like so the modern stuff, like hey, it needs I mean maybe I should try if I can make this work in T2 with Firefox. I believe need to check. But that's also the thing. Like then, what should be some tiny little keyboard configuration thing, and maybe there should actually be an open standard for that, is then like a bloody web app that only works in one browser on one or two OS maybe, and also goes away. Like, good luck, you have this fancy keyboard and like want to change the configuration in 10 years or so, or 5 years when this company is out of business, or the website, like maybe the company is still in business, but the web configuration thing is taken down. So yeah. Dr. Schubert thinks, but think owners of CPU manufacturing companies code, if all code is efficient, will be starving. I mean, there's still people would want, like, they certainly would be happy with more bling bling, amazing looking AAA games, right? I wouldn't necessarily say they would go out of, would be starving. People always find ways to sufficiently load CPUs and GPUs, right? But it's also not it's, for me, it's not only about performance. For me, it's also like, I hate the programming, and I refuse to download a web browser Electron bundle thing for every small little thing, right? And like, I really hate the programming. Like the programming, the problem is, I would even argue that this YOLO, like this LTT inspired, using the word YOLO, of you only live once, quickly rednecking everything together. In my opinion, web development is spreading really not good software development patterns of quickly YOLOing, and like not writing quality thought out or thought through algorithms and quality structure, but like this hacky, like some CGI. Yes, it's not CGI and but even centering a div as a fake button and stuff, and overlaying, like emulating UI things of stitching bitmaps together, and it's like, or automatically stitching, like automatically faking back buttons with frameworks of, yeah. So also there, Dr. Bachler also hates electrons. Yeah, that's the thing. And like, IT professionals hate this trick. Like, ship native desktop applications with this simple trick of bundling web technology and Electron instances. But IT professionals also hate this trick, right? Like, I would hope I'm not the only one. Like, I'm really curious to see your comments later. Let's quickly scroll in here. HTML is, like Gunther writes, HTML is okay for laying out. Yeah, that's the thing. That's also what, yeah, totally agree, which is why we still at T2, like, people like, yeah, I like this minimal websites. Like, yeah, we also write HTML in an editor, which, fun fact, we actually should improve this a little bit. True, engineers are getting much hate, disrespect as of lately. What do you entry level become? What the entry level is lower to become? I would not necessarily agree with this, because the problem is, I mean, you need to know something else. Like, basically, I would also argue, for a native app, you only need to know computer architecture things. For an Electron app, you actually need to know many more different technologies, right? You need to know HTML, you need to know JavaScript. I mean, you need to load a little bit, or at least the basics. Many people, of course, these days, framework, module, more modules, more frameworks, more abstraction, more whatever. Theoretically, if you mix low-level stuff for very sophisticated web native apps, like interfacing USB and HID and sound and audio and MIDI and WebRTC and stuff, then you need to know many different technologies, right? And mix stuff, like at least knowing some C if you mix in mscripten and stuff, and so on, right? What do we have here? Somehow bloated Chrome web engine succeeds with Java compiled runs every. Yeah, I mean, but remember when people 25 years ago, including myself, complained like Java was so effing slow and inefficient and stuff? Like, basically modern web stuff, hey, compared to modern web stuff, Java was slow, right? At least you could like Java want an AWT, like, or Swing or whatever this stuff was called, button and text field and widget and stuff and window. Like, hey, good luck. Like, everything is like still compared, like Java was only like, maybe, let's say if Java was on average like maybe 25% less efficient than native code or whatnot, like plus minus, and hotspot JIT and stuff. Like, hey, have you seen the modern web application stack? Like 1,000% less efficient for layers of inefficiency and emulating buttons in HTML and CSS and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's absolutely cursed, right? And as you see here from like, hey, at least I have some more positive spirits these days. But otherwise, I absolutely I grew up with computer science. And in the meantime, I mostly hate it, right? Is that not crazy? Imagine you would work on cars, like vintage cars, like that. I mean, yeah, working with vintage computers, you actually can love. Like working with modern web stuff, I absolutely hate. I mean, maybe also people working on vintage cars hate modern electrified cars, but I would actually argue mostly not, except low quality Tesla engineering. But I think with computers, for me, it's absolutely hate on steroids because like everything you look at sucks. Prove me wrong. Who can relate? Who agrees? Who disagrees? Yeah. Problem with universities nowadays teach students Java. I mean, I've been out of university for some years. I certainly 10 years ago they teach Java. Do they still teach? I mean, they probably mostly. I mean, I'm speculating now. Like if you're in university, but it certainly depends on the area and stuff, like geographical area and so on. But I would guess. I mean, they probably still sometimes see certainly a lot of Python stuff these days. I expect, but leave in the comments below. Where do we have some uploaded Chrome? We have that, yeah. Many. Yeah, that's a problem with Autodesk. What's web engine for AutoCAD, Adobe? Are they? That is true. There are some native apps that's like the open source. How do they want to be pronounced? KiCad. I think they say KiCad, right? KiCad, whatever. I mean, certainly there are some native things like, hey, a browser or Blender 3D, OBS Studio. I mean, theoretically LibreOffice, but I think people even web technology Frankenstein OpenOffice a decade ago already, because obviously that needs to be in web app. Okay, many comments. I really need a comment moderator summarize. Minidisc never music before. It's SCSI Minidisc recorder somewhere. That is amazing. What's native Linux? Yeah, native Linux. Yeah, as I mentioned, GTK and stuff. And also, yeah, certainly Terminal. But that's the thing. You want to, like, all I wanted was transfer some songs. I mean, sure, there is open source netmd, CLI, command line stuff that I also updated in T2 Linux, of course, and fixed a little bit. But that's the thing that you can also automate this, right? Like, then people did some Electron things. My Minidisc point doesn't really matter. It could be anything, right? Like, or like Discord and stuff. And if you do 100 megabyte UI, web technology, Chrome stuff, you can't even like automate that. Sure, you can automate everything, like superly cursed inefficient ways. Yeah, Electron. Yeah, people agree there. Also on I'm a robot. Electron's ugly. Yeah, don't use JavaScript, Java, and Java. I mean, that is the thing. Yeah, totally. So people agree. I'm not the only idiot here in the room. The only elephant idiot in the room. And thanks for the subscription service, Prime. 8 months when running. I appreciate this. Save the things people use Docker for every single time they. Yeah, so in my opinion, Docker and first-time chatters there, welcome. Save things with people using Docker every single thing they can. Binary application, just Docker pull and run. So yeah, I also agree with this. I don't want a mini Linux. I have my Linux, right? Absolutely. I understand where, like with Linux, like yeah, doesn't run on this Linux and that Linux, and implementation details and incompatibilities and stuff, and GTK broke and Qt broke and X broke and Wayland broke and NVIDIA driver and whatnot. Although partially you have some driver problems also with Docker things, NVIDIA and so on, right? I constantly read people having problems with like OBS, like there's a Fedora or whatnot, OBS controversy. So it's not like Dockering stuff solves or other Chrome Electron web technology containerization solves all the problems. It also brings new problems, right? In my opinion, as I outlined initially, programming, absolute nightmare, absolute inefficient, cumbersome thing. Also for me, like this is mini-disk stuff, I patched, of course I did, like I find stuff broken, I instantly fix it, right? Like 7-year-old bug open in libnetmd Linux mini-disk stuff, like yeah, I come along, of course I just patch it, like 7-year-old bug, of course we just fix it. But then there's other or similar bugs in this web applications. Like, do not expect me, like this is the thing, like I'm not poking this Chromium web application, like it's like, no, I'm not with this 10 feet long pole thing of like, I'm not touching this stuff, right? I do the web stuff, bundle into mobile apps, and yes, kind of. Yeah, that's also the thing, that a lot of mobile, like even the Instagram app, at least 10 years ago, like probably still today, like most modern mobile apps are Frankenstein native UI, web UI things anyway, right? Often you even see this when it loads partially or slowly. You can even sometimes see that in mobile apps. And then this also totally moots the point of native apps, right? Like, why do you need a native except vendor login and controlling the users? I would actually, like, if such apps like Instagram and other things, I'm not using Facebook, but like Discord and other like Twitch apps mostly are web UI. Like, why do we not do direct website mobile apps instead of this app store stuff, except Apple wants some money and vendor login stuff, right? Yeah, totally annoying time to be a software developer, in my opinion. Absolutely solves the problem. When you have there too many people, imagine having the problem use solutions. React and Angular, they solve problems that most people will. Yeah. And totally agree. I mean, many of those things, like some frameworks, I think my personal impression is this framework and module stuff came when we still remember the dark ages of Internet Explorer 6 and stuff. And then people did framework of like abstracting Internet Explorer 6 shittiness and missing features and stuff. But nowadays, like, hey, now everything is mostly Chromium or some other WebKit based and Chromium forks and similar such stuff. Like these days, like, hey, we mostly only have one standard of WebKit based Chromium stuff, but like still frameworks of Internet Explorer not existing anymore stuff. Like, yeah. Have been maturing nicely, so iced and each GUI, portable GPU, not web great maturing. Help. Probably need to take a look. Sounds interesting. Thanks for this first time chat. Literally often have if you, not literally you, of course, have often then doesn't matter. Those people have that problem or not. Tells those notification work on Mac, Linux, Windows, Electron. The thing you go because you don't have to learn 3 different frameworks. Yeah, that certainly is a thing, but you still need to learn many different web technologies, right? I mean, I understand where it came from, right? But nonetheless, it sucks, right? Like we replaced sucking technology with differently more sucking technology. GTK Flatpak. Yeah, I mean, the problem is GTK also not amazing. And but like basically, I don't really have a solution. It's just basically like, hey, what is the state? Like somehow everything sucks here. Like, will they even like, I would also argue like if we want to do web stuff, then we should only do web stuff. Like then skip the stupid Electron web download stuff. Then like if you want to embrace cloud computing and stuff, like then do website-based cloud computing and not have people download Electron stuff. Web USB is far more portable than libUSB. Big demos, platform problems. There are pain gaps there. Yeah, also all the stuff, also security nightmare, right? Like all the but yeah, I mean, far more portable. No, I mean, at the end, probably it usually uses libUSB anyway, right? Like, basically having libUSB in your Chromium browser and Discord wants to be gamer tool, but it's slow for it's like slow technology for gamers. Also, like you need that's basically AMD selling content creator 16 core 32 thread Ryzen for because you need a thread for each of your Electron apps, right? Keeping all your threads warm and busy, and turbo boosting for your blinking cursor things. It's somehow crazy. I don't really have a good solution. It's a mess. That's the kind of thing I wish people would have done a proper native web application standard 20 years ago, but nobody did because Microsoft. Why are we here? Because Microsoft wanted a vendor login, and certainly have you seen all the CDE like Sun, CDE, X11 Motive, like all the super cursed sucking shit. X11 toolkit of like all the truly sucking X UI things, right? Plus iRigs and did I mention Apple first Mac OS, then Mac OS X? Next up, like everyone wanted their vendor login except the Linux people who did portable things that even brought GTK and the commercial Qt things to all the platforms. But that is why we don't have standards, right? Everyone wants to vendor log in proprietary APIs for sale with their commercial OS, and 20 years later, everything sucks more than ever. the 6 standards for native applications, and now we just do web applications. Common there, IQMap rather had Internet Explorer 6 instead of the pile of other shit we have now. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, so am I the only one? Like, hey, I even phrased the summary very nicely and relaxed. Like, everything sucks. Like, burn it down. Like, it's crazy. I wouldn't want to have. To be fair, I wouldn't want to have Internet Explorer 6 though. Like, that beast sucked big times. Common there, but people deserve to suffer and lose everything because it's like, I don't even. Despite my dream microkernel rewriting everything from scratch because everything sucks too much project, like maybe that is a solution. Invest in portable native equivalents. Far too often people build platforms, good local case GTK trying to, plus of course I have other things like basically most software sucks anyway. I mean, maybe it is a little bit like, maybe so much software development sucks because, I mean, first of all, people learn from sucking software and then it gets worse and worse. You could argue like the usual car analogy, like cars suck too. Like basically, if you look at all the not good car quality cars like Russian Lada or previous not good Chinese stuff, that even like 10 years ago, like of course nowadays Chinese cars better, but like 10 years ago, even the Taiwanese didn't want to drive Chinese cars because quality issues, like, or just look at Tesla. But of course you cannot YOLO cars as falling apart, except if you Russian Lada stuff, or Tesla. But software you can just hide, right? Like software, you can just YOLO crap together, and most people, it's like, it's software, it's complicated. It's like, no, it's not. Like you just build shitty sucking software, right? It's like I would argue you can get less away with shitty cars or shitty plumbing or shitty housing because people see it, right? Also, there's certainly shitty housing. But like if you rent an apartment or a house, you see it, although maybe everything's overpriced, and also like watching Louis Rossmann housing also falling apart in New York, and overpriced falling apart housing according to Louis Rossmann, also seen in the United States. But basically everything sucks, including housing and cars. Maybe that's a thing, but at software, if housing and cars suck for reasons of like profit maximization and Volkswagen serial problems of high pressure pumps and this and that and failing and whatnot, I would still argue software stuff orders of magnitudes more, especially less visible and more hidden, below 100 frameworks, buried under 100 frameworks and Electron browser. Solution as usual, write better software, right? maybe a grid reset. I probably should check in some of the things mentioned here, like maybe more permanently comment below the YouTube video, because this chat goes away, right? It's what do you think of Suckless? So Suckless, I didn't like the software. The last time I checked, it's in my opinion, Suckless sucks more, right? Of like very minimal, like so minimal, barely usable for me, and configure by recomp. Like if you want to tell me configure by changing the source and recompiling, that certainly sucks more. Like even I would not want to do that like this. Also, how do I run x86 binary GTK on an M2 Flatpak? Doesn't help there. Does it not? Does it not have x86 emulation? So yeah, already said a static linked binary would solve the problem too much. Things. I mean, yeah, maybe the solution is better language like Rust and Zig, and then better native apps. Yeah, leave in the comments below. As you have seen the last years, I'm not enjoying the state of software particularly, because like somehow everything sucks and is broken and bloated and slow and buggy. And hashtag, I invented the hashtag, like literally I hope at least I've not really seen it elsewhere, and I mostly spread hashtag peakbugs, mostly for macOS. Like basically macOS, Apple peakbugs, like every year more bugs. I spread this invented here hashtag for a decade, but increasingly, obviously, Windows, Linux, hashtag peakbugs, Wayland, copy and paste second time. So yeah. Leave in the comments below. I don't like, but last but not least, what do you think? Will there be a shift back from cloud computing? Will people realize you own nothing and you actually will not be happy and wanting personal, of not Elon Musk stealing all your personal data and other Facebook and Google and Apple and stuff? Will there be a cycle of like, let's make personal computing great again? Let's set all the cloud stuff on fire and go back to actually owning your stuff and also writing more efficient applications doing so again. Let's take one quick check here. Chromium, what do we have here? I was programming with HTTP things. What other comments did I miss? Basically, FLTK. What do you think of FLTK? I packaged them. I don't think too much of them. I know there's Fox Toolkit, VX's VIX widgets. Yeah. But, I mean, one thing, of course, I mean, you could actually argue that Sun Microsystems was very ahead of their time, as they, like, basically, Sun Microsystems deserve so much more to be the Google and Facebook of our, or Tesla of our times. They were, with RISC and cloud computing and portable compile once run anywhere, they were basically, as much as I hated Java back in the day, certainly in retrospect, even more than we understood back at the time so much, even with cloud computing. Like literally, how can the company that invented Java and cloud computing be bankrupt? It's mind-blowingly good at tech. I mean, maybe overpriced, like similar as usual, like good but overpriced stuff fails maybe, and too early. Basically the usual too early ahead of their time thing, because basically in retrospect 25 years, 20 soon 30 years later, Java actually, especially because Sun, why? Because Sun with Sun OS, of course, been there, done that, not having any like Sun Microsystems literally in 1995 or whatnot, 1992 or whatnot, like, hey, we have another CPU, we have another OS, like nobody much writes applications for us except banking and insurance and stuff, big business. Like basically Sun being there, Sun solved that. Java, right? Is it like no, Oracle keeps still suing people for all that Java technology purchase patent stuff. So thank you very much. Yeah, I wish. Also, last but not least, I would personally embrace and use web technology more if it would not suck so much, right? In my opinion, but basically like similar to native applications, web applications, I would even argue the initial web technology was okay for its time, like certainly just revolutionary technology that I say I title okay when of course it was revolutionary 30 years later, right? Like this simple hypertext markup language stuff and hypertext transfer protocol or those things, HTTP, HTML, revolutionary simple technology. But after that, like JavaScript and all the APIs and stuff, right? Sure, iteratively, like some improvements, some API, new possibilities and stuff. But at the end, a very cursed, probably because mostly misused, right? Like for what it is like hypertext markup language and stuff, and cascaded style sheets. For what it is, good technology, but mostly misused. Just like misusing hypertext and style sheet technology for emulating buttons and list views and stuff, right? And basically painting pixels like in the least efficient way, unless you do web GPU for like splitting pixels in more efficient ways. But as per usual, mostly while having a place for what it is, vastly misused, and the way it is misused for emulating native applications, extremely underperforming technology, I would argue, right? That is web technology. Anyway, that's basically the summary. Maybe I should really people await my programming language and microkernel in the meantime, and like basically, should we try a great reset and try to make native stuff great again, or has that ship and train fully sailed, and will there never be great native things because just web and cloud everything? Leave in the comments below. That's basically the summary that I wonder. Recurrently, as we discussed, I'm not particularly impressed by the state of technology, but who is? Apparently many people agree. Many people here not impressed. What else do we have here? There, Anthony. Sinet, overpriced stocks, wanting quicker return investments, and good evening. So basically, we are there with the discussions. You can rewatch it. I don't have a good solution, especially, what would be your solution? I don't really have a solution except the great reset and writing everything in more efficient. But then we have 24 of sucking solutions for, but leave in the comments below. I just wanted to also basically spread, as usual, my videos have the purpose of spreading the word and trying to motivate people to think of maybe doing buttons and widgets and stuff in HTML and CSS is not the most amazing way, especially many newcomers, right? So many people ask me for help every day now on LinkedIn, on Facebook, like not Facebook, nearly Facebook. I'm not using Facebook. Instagram, like people ask me freaking like at least once a week, like basically daily, multiple people ask me for help, like for like how to code, how to this, how to learn, how to be like me. Once on Instagram, once on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube comments, right, LinkedIn. It is basically maybe think, should we continue like this? Is this the greatest solution? Should we try something else? Maybe try something else. And definitely share, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Like, if you have a great solution, comment below, especially there on YouTube where it's more permanent. And maybe we should try it. I mean, I would argue, but this is my last words for today. Maybe we should try, as a startup would try, like if you, like a entrepreneur, like a big tech, if you wanted to sell a solution, we could either, there are two main ways I see. Either we make web apps greater with better technology, although difficult because browser monopolies and stuff, or the other way would be make actually native apps greater again without a 100 megabyte or more. I mean, 100 megabytes probably outdated and probably whatever Electron download is these days. Actually, we could check right if we go to Discord how large would be. There's here's a freaking download for Linux. Deb or Tarlang, now give me something. 90, it's still 100. Okay, so didn't apparently browser change, although compressed of course, but apparently browser Electron app change size didn't change much. Yeah, I probably if you have amazing technology like Zig and Rust and other Oxy stuff, best comment on YouTube. This was a multiplex 2-platform live stream. If you have amazing technology comments, best post below the YouTube video so I and other people can find it easily and more permanently. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed to learn something. Let's tune out here with our amazing AI music that we actually should really bring to Spotify soon. Spotify, another native Electron app. Where is our here? If we set everything on fire.
If we set everything on fire, we save many intermediate steps.
The patch fixes the bug. The patch creates another bug. The patch to fix.
I totally agree there. HTML not that complex, but also surrounding technology. HTML plus CSS plus JavaScript plus frameworks plus Canvas plus web. It's like it's just an overload of unmatched impedance overload.
Update your drivers, update your OS. Whoops, now the network is a broken mess. Legacy stack, oh what a delight. Let's patch a 90s relic at 3 a.m. tonight. If we set everything on fire, we save many intermediate steps. No more regressions, no more patches, no more sleepless, stressed out wrecks. If we let the whole thing crash, we don't need another hotfix mess. Burn it down, call it an improvement request. TPM's exploits, firmware's a joke. Encryption's fine.